This is going to be a blast. So today I've got the pleasure of having Ryan Fischer with me. Ryan is one of the top CrossFit athletes in the world, competed at a very, very high level, went from being homeless, stealing food, to becoming a multimillionaire living in a $4 million house in Newport Beach, and has a fitness app with over 30,000 clients. So this is going to be a very inspirational story to hear from where you've come from to where you are now, and we can go through loads of different things from an athletic point of view to a business point of view. So big thank you for your time, Ryan.
Super excited, man. I've been following you for a while. We've actually talked probably for like the last year, I would assume. And yeah, I was just telling my friends, I'm like, I got a buddy in town from Dubai, so I think we're gonna have a good time, talk about some stuff, meet up, exchange some stories. I think we've already exchanged a lot of value, so I appreciate you.
100%. Firstly, to get for anyone to understand like where you came from, I was gobsmacked when I found out your story of how much you were struggling at one point to the point you were actually like stealing food, living on someone's sofa, to then come to where you are now. How has that journey happened in terms of you now getting to the man you are in front of me?
Yeah, man. So I think to make my story short and digestible for a lot of you guys listening, essentially, I had this great job in San Diego, and I was working at a gym. Funny enough, I got the job like from applying on Craigslist. And this girl reached out. She's like, "Yeah, I'd love to have you be the manager of the gym." And I was working there for a few months. And as I was kind of competing in local competitions and stuff, everyone knew who I was. And I was starting to build a big name for myself. But I hated working at this gym. And me and the lady who owned the gym, we just kept bumping heads and just wasn't right. And then I just lost my temper one day and was like, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like working here. I just assumed I would get another job very easily, and I didn't. Like 3-4 months went by. I had $5,000 saved, and I just didn't have any money left. And this other gym that I was working at, the guys who owned it, like, they didn't want to see me go back home, which is in New Jersey. And they're like, dude, we're just going to ask people in the gym if anyone would like want to put you up. And this girl, Erin, put me on her couch. I was there for like 3 or 4 months. And I think the best part of this is like, there's a lot of people who struggle all the time. Like, there's a lot of you guys listening right now, like you're struggling, like you're in a bad spot. I cannot tell you, for the entire 3 or 4 months, I literally cried myself to sleep, like probably 70% of that time. Like, I would just like lay on the couch just like that. And just like before I'd close my eyes to go to bed, I just literally just be like, what the fuck is the point of tomorrow? Because like I have nothing to look forward to. There is no job tomorrow. I'm going to keep working out and doing my CrossFit thing and hope that like eventually I get to go to some competitions and do well and show everybody how good I am. Like, if you asked me, as literally a homeless person sleeping on a couch, like, what do you think you're going to do in a sport of CrossFit? I'd literally look at you straight in the eye and be like, I am the best athlete in the world. Like, no matter what. And people believed me. And eventually I did some online competition. The people in the gym put the money together and paid for me to do it. And then I got second place in this big online competition with all the best athletes in the world. And it was crazy. And then I didn't sign up for the actual championship because it was $200. And the owner of the competition messaged me, or he gave me a call, and he's like, hey, Ryan, like, we saw you did really well online. Everyone's excited to see you, but you didn't sign up for the big championship and you qualified. And I was like, yeah, I don't have any money. And he's like, what do you mean? It's only $200. And I was like, if I'm being completely honest, like, I'm stealing food right now. I'm sleeping on a couch and I just like have nothing. And he's like, oh shit. He's like, I'll sponsor you. If you win, you pay me back. And I'm like, all right, like that sounds like a good deal. So I go to this competition, I get second place at the competition and beat all the people I looked up to and was watching on YouTube and all this stuff. It was just like absolutely surreal. And I have all these photos of me competing at that competition, and every single thing I'm wearing is stolen. My shoes are stolen. My knee sleeves are, some guy at the gym let me borrow them. My outfit is from some guy who let me borrow them. Like the food that I had there, I had stolen from Whole Foods. And the story keeps going on. Like, I got second there. About a few weeks after that, I got caught stealing Christmas presents for my family at a local mall. And I wound up like getting in a fight and stuff with the guy who was trying to arrest me, like all this stuff. So I got like 3 different felonies that were all like very, very bad. It was like burglary because of the intent to steal. Then I got like assault on the guy. And then I got like theft, all these different things. I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. And during that time, I remember just being like, dude, just can't get any worse. Like, I have nowhere to live. I am like in the negative on like going to jail, and I didn't have any money to really even do bail. Like, my mom bailed me out, and I like had to pay her back at some point in time. And it just kept going on and on. The hits just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And this guy that I was training, this guy Aaron, he wound up being one of the people who built MySpace. And he offered to open a gym for me. He's like, I think that you'd be a great gym owner. Like, I really think that you would crush. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's a big, big risk. And he's just like, dude, you're going to be great. Like, I got this location. It's going to be awesome. And when I first opened the gym, I coached 10 classes every day, like myself. I didn't have any employees. I didn't even know how to hire people. So 10 classes a day, I'd have 2 or 3 personal training clients, and I would train for world championships in like 10-minute intervals between classes. It's like I'd be coaching a class, and then go into the craziest workout you'd ever seen for 10 minutes, and then go straight into coaching a class. And then like clients would come in and give me rotisserie chickens. I have all these videos of me eating rotisserie chickens between class. And then I'd go do this crazy workout, and it's like on and on and on and on and on. And as I would hire coaches, and as the weekends would come around, I would clean up trash at parks for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. And I did that for 3 years. Like, I literally got to the point where the amount of hard work that was needed and necessary for me to keep going was so high that everything I do now just feels like a fucking walk in the park.
Do you ever think back to when you quit that job if you didn't quit?
Dude, to be honest, I actually think my life would be worse. I think that was a really big step for me to do other really cool stuff. And I could say that about so many things in my life. Like, I have a really bad knee, and I feel like when my knee got to the point where it was so bad, I stopped and pivoted into business, and that was when things really started to get good. So like everything that feels like a horrible scenario always turned into the best thing that ever happened to me.
And talk about that going into the business side of things. So you have the Chalk performance training with 1,000 clients alongside your gym. How did that come first to fruition?
So this is something I think is really, really important. Is a lot of people right now, maybe you're in a bad spot, and maybe you're having a bad day, maybe you're having a bad week. I think there's something very, very powerful about bringing your best self forward every single day, even when you're having a bad day, because when you bring your best self forward, you like create opportunities. Like, I hate the word luck. I always feel like that's preparation meets opportunity, right? And I had so many days in the gym where I just felt absolutely horrible, like just so bad. And then like, because I had all this energy where I just was like, fuck it, I'll get a personal training client. Somebody would come in that day and be like, this guy's awesome. I'm like, do you want to train me afterward, or like whatever, for $100 an hour, which was like all the money in the world to me. And I would create those opportunities. And then also the guy, Aaron, who I want to be my business partner in the gym, same thing. And this lady who came from Michigan out of town, it was her 3rd or 4th time in the gym. And she's like, Ryan, you're like an awesome trainer, and I love your workouts. Like, I drop into gyms every day all over the world. And I like, the workouts here are something special. I think you should put them online. And I was like, no, I don't think anyone's going to buy them. Like, there's free workouts online everywhere. And this is when I started to understand like a personal brand, because she's like, dude, but it's you. Like, people were buying into you. And I still didn't understand it. And I kept saying no. And she literally made my Facebook group for me. And she's like, Ryan, I made a Facebook group for you. You're going to put your workouts online and you're going to sell them. And I was like, okay. And I'll never forget, the amount of money I was making in the gym was exactly $4,000 a month was my salary. And the first week that I launched my online app, I made exactly $4,000. It was like such an interesting number. And I remember just being like, whoa, like, this is the start of something really cool.
Is that still the same Facebook group you have now?
It is the same. And she's actually the owner of the group, and I can't even get rid of her. And I haven't talked to her in years. So like, at any point in time, she could shut the whole thing down if she wanted to.
Yeah, make sure she doesn't get a Facebook account disabled.
Yeah.
I would say from what you said that your success is not just down to your hard work, but a lot of people have helped you along the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, not a lot of direct help, like, oh, here's money, or here's this, or here's that. But I would say belief breaking stuff. You know, I have some other successful business friends that when I would talk to them and tell them my story, they would always be like, oh, dude, you just had to break a belief. You just needed to get through this one thing and see what was possible. And like, that's what helped you get to the next level. And I started thinking about it. I was like, man, you're really right. It was like, once I met someone who was doing better than me, I was like, oh, those numbers are possible. Or once I saw someone who was doing the thing that I really wanted to do, you're like, oh, that's possible. I'm sure it's the same with you. Like, when you have your masterminds and stuff, maybe you meet like a Bedros or a Jason Capital or whatever, and you're like, oh, dude, like, you're just like me. And like, you're doing this thing at like a way higher level. And like, I could totally do that. But like, you didn't feel that way until you met them.
I'll give you an example. So Jason, when he spoke at this event the other day, started, and he said he's making $3.2 million a month with this online thing that's basically helping rewire people's brains. It's basically like a meditation fucking set of headphones. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, when you hear someone's doing that and like, you're like, he's not that much better than me. $3.2 million a month to bet. I'm like,
yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of time you need to see that, and you see the person in real fucking life, like in front of you, and are like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And I think that's probably the same thing for you in terms of you think you're Billy Big Shot, and I think I probably thought I was in like 2021, 2020, 2021. I remember going to an event in America. My fitness business was maybe like $40,000 a month.
That's the point where you get really big head.
Yeah, and it's like, because you got enough money to like do what you want within reason. You got a bit of freedom. You think you're like big shot. I remember going to an event and I met a friend of mine now who was making like 1.2 million a month. And I was like, and that for me was like, okay, you can go a lot further with this.
Mm-hmm. There's something to be said about seeing them in person, even versus reading a book. You could tell someone like, this is my favorite book and it did everything for me. But that book didn't do shit for you until you meet the person. And then you're like, whoa, it just 10X's the whole deal.
When you physically see them and look in the eyes, you see they're a human being. You're like, he eats and shits as well. So like he has the same functionality I do, right? So like,
it is crazy when you see this. Meeting people, I have like probably 5 people in my life that just literally changed the trajectory of everything.
Who are those 5?
The first one is probably my business partner, Aaron, just because he's the first person who gave me a shot and gave me a chance for anything. Side note, when Chalk Online started taking off, it started making a bunch of money. And I remember asking him, I was like, hey man, so like, how do you want me to split this with you? Because like we started the brand together. And he's like, I made my money already. I want you to make yours. You can have it all. Like that's how dope of a business partner I got. So like, he's definitely number 1. Number 2 would be a girl named Virginia. She did my paid advertising. And I was on a podcast just like this with someone that I was interviewing who was like one of the top trainers at Barry's Bootcamp.
Yeah.
And then she decided to go all in online. And I remember her coming to classes at my gym and she's like making $200, $300 a class, which is insane as an instructor. And I was like, what made you want to go all in online? And she's like, well, I started making like $40,000 a month, like selling these pregnancy programs. I was like, $40,000 a month? I was like, holy fuck. And then I was like, what are you doing? And she started talking about paid ads and all these things. And I was like, do you mind if I meet this person? And and maybe use her. Like I'm not selling the same things as you. And you're like, yeah, no problem. And introduced me to her. And I'll never forget, like I was selling ebooks in my DMs, literally just like, hey, if you want this ebook, like shoot me a DM and then screenshot that you PayPal'd me or Venmo'd me, and then I'll send you the ebook. And I was doing this all day, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then someone told me you could put it on a website and just do it automatically. I was like had no idea. So once I met her, she just like 10x'd all my sales. It was just like crazy. And I remember paid ads just being such a massive thing. Third person would be the girl who told me to start online. That was like a huge, huge thing. Fourth would be Alex Rosie. I met him way before he was big. He had like 5,000 followers. For his birthday this year, I actually sent him our first message on Instagram together. Because like, what else do you get someone like that? It was pretty funny too. Because I had a big mustache at the time. And his message back was like, game recognized game.
You both had a mustache.
Yeah. And then he's like, hey, let's meet up. Let's do this podcast. And I was like, cool. And I flew out to his house in Texas. And he gave me his address. Like that's how early on this was. He's like, yeah, just come here. And I was like, cool. I went to his house and I was like, whoa, this is wild. And then we hung out. I was supposed to podcast that day. We hung out for like a week and I went home after that. And my mind was blown forever. Fifth person. Fifth person. Maybe it's only 4. I don't know who the 5th person is yet. We'll see.
You mentioned Alex Hormozi. What was the biggest influences specifically from him?
I think just the way he thinks about things is pretty crazy, because you might be thinking about this thing that makes like maybe a 2x in your business. Like you're just trying to get these like small little wins. And he's just like, yeah, but if you did this, it's 10. And then you're like, huh, okay. And then also like he's very like unemotional. Like there's no emotional feelings towards anything. So it's just like, do this, this happens. And then when you get there, then go here and then go there and then go here. And like, there's just no like, once you get there, you're going to be really happy and it's going to be like this cool thing. It's just like, nope, you're still climbing this little baby ladder and your little pacifiers in your mouth and you're a fucking child. Because like to him, it's just like none of it really matters until you're like on a massive scale and you're making like huge, huge impact, which I think is good and bad, because it's like, it's hard to celebrate the wins along the way because he's making you feel like every little step is very, very like insequential. But at the same time, it's really, really cool just to see someone think on that level, because I think he genuinely has like what is the word? Like he sees the potential in you and thinks that you can do it. Like he does believe in you. He just gets really upset because it's like, if you can't do it within like a very short period of time, you're not listening. It's like, dude, I told you exactly what to do. It's like, yeah, but it takes a long time to do sometimes. He expects it to be done very quick.
it very much reminds me of like one of the best books I recommend any entrepreneur reads is 10x is easier than 2x, which is all talk about like frameworks, the way you think and set goals. Because if you try and 10x like what you're doing right now, you have to do something differently to get there, rather than like what most people try and do is like a volume approach of like fucking just post more content or like message more people. But at some point you can't actually scale that, which is probably, I guess, the way he looks at things.
Yeah. I mean, you just talk to him for 10 minutes and you'll know exactly why he's very different. He doesn't take very much to figure that out for him.
What do you think makes you different and why you stand out so much on social media, other than your amazing ukulele playing abilities?
I always tell everybody that I think one of the things that's very interesting about me is I didn't really have like the greatest kind of family upbringing. Like I just met my real father last year. That was something I wanted to do for like most of my life. I found out my dad was someone else when I was 18. And when I was younger, like I hated being home. Like my mom smoked and like everyone in my family smoked. And like I hated being in the house with the cigarettes. So I like ride my bike for like miles and miles and miles away from home. And I just like, was never really home a lot. And I just felt like once I started building a community online, I felt like this was like my real family. And I would get so much feedback from everybody, like kind of, you know, the things that you wanted people in your family to tell you, like they were proud of you or like they're really happy for you or this or that. And I think like a lot of those things became something I look forward to every single day. So I like would want to do cool shit for them. And then it just started to develop this like organic community of people who like were really excited for everything I was doing. And I would like look forward to like making them excited. So I like always would think about things that I could do for them more than myself. And I think that people picked up on that. I mean, I just did a live last night and I think like halfway through it, I started crying. And it's just like supernatural to me. I'm just like, whenever anything happens, I'm like, I tell them right away. I'm like, hey guys, this is what's happening. You know what I mean? Like just met my dad or this is happening. This is happening. My mom will be like, Ryan, why are you doing that? Like fucking stop. Like it's like really personal stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I just like, I want to tell someone about it. Like, I feel like my social media is like my therapist.
Diary.
Yeah. And I think people really connect with that because like, that's the real shit that people really want to see.
Well, I think we talked about this earlier, but I think that's the problem with social media now in particular, with like what a lot of fitness trainers doing, which is main audience of this podcast, it's too polished and too perfect, where I think the more you show like where you've come from to like where you are now, like the shit stuff that happens, almost the more inspirational it is, because then they can see, well, like, if Ryan's done all this and he's come from this really difficult background of being homeless and stealing food, then what's my fucking excuse?
Yeah, for sure. I do love hearing a good story. I think everybody watches a good story. I think that's the reason why we go to the movie theater. You're about to like watch a dope story. I think that's why people like all sorts of different movies. Like, I think like romantic comedies or like, and romantic movies in general are probably the biggest selling genre, like over action and all these different things because there's a story element to it. I just think it's really interesting. And I think once you can master storytelling, because like coming from someone who trains fitness people, I have a really good business. Like once you can master your story, like that's the whole thing. Because no one really wants to buy a product. They want to buy an emotion. They want to buy like something that you stand for. And I actually had to do that this year. I started to notice brands and stuff on the come up, like 247 was someone I started really looking up to. And I was like, what is it that makes them so fucking cool? Because I was like, I really like following them. And I was like, their clothes say 247 on them. They say on a mission on them. Like you start to feel connected to it. And I think when people wear something like that, it's an immediate gratification versus like, if I work out for a couple months, I might look really good versus I can put this shirt on and feel something right away. And I was like, what could I do with my brand? And my whole thing that I just started to do this year is like the concept of being built different. And what is it about you that makes you different than everybody else? Because I want you to be very different. And I want the different things and different choices that you choose every day to be the thing that separates you from everyone else. And I want you to be accepted in my community for that. We actually just did some clips today. And I was asking people in the gym, like, what are some of the things that you tell yourself on the days that you don't want to come into the gym? What are some of the different decisions that you make every single day that make you come in and give you results that are different than most people? So like, AKA, what makes you built different? And I'll get these responses, and some of them are insane.
What's the best response you got?
This one guy was a firefighter, and he's just like, I have to show up today to make sure that I don't die in a fire tomorrow. And I was like, fuck. That was wild. And then there was a pregnant lady also. She was like, I have to stay consistent, like for my kids and like, even for myself, like, I put on a bunch of weight after being pregnant. And then like, I just like want to show up every single day. Even like most of the times I'm here, she's like, I don't really want to be here, but I know this is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. So I show up every day no matter what.
What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned in building your brand to where it is now?
Definitely like a genuine community. Like, I think a lot of people overthink content, and it's really easy to do because there's so many people who are so good at content. And people like Alex, for example, who's like, oh, I spend fucking $400,000 a month on content. And you're like, fuck, how can I compete with that? If you want to feel better, like go to his page and look at some of his best performing stuff. A lot of it's organic stuff. A lot of it's like a tweet. Like, it's things that you can do at home. Like, you can do without a fancy camera. But those like raw things is what really connects you with people. And then I also think building something that is bigger than yourself and bigger than just your product. Like, if you actually think about all of the things that you really like a lot, like product wise, it's not really the product. Like, why do you pick Nike shoes over Adidas shoes? Like, maybe you like the way they look, but like there's something else about it. Maybe you like LeBron. Maybe you like, another athlete. Maybe you feel connected on that. I think a lot of people, they really don't think about why they like the product. But if they actually sat down and started writing down why they like each product, there's a reason for it. I mean, someone literally might like a fitness coach because they drive a Lambo. Someone might like me because I drive an old Bronco. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely going to be there's for sure someone right now who prefers me over someone else because I drive a Bronco and the other person drives a pickup truck, or because they drive a Lambo or whatever. Like, dude, the guy with the Bronco, fuck yeah. Like, that's it. There's something unique about every single one of us that connects with a lot of other people.
Do you think a lot of people are too afraid to be unique because they're worried about being different and shot down?
100%.
Because I feel for me, I've always been very different in a lot of ways in terms of the way I think, and I've gotten used to that. But I quite like that type of framework of trying to be different than everyone else, because I think if you can try and differentiate yourself, you become a category of one because you are just yourself, rather than like everyone else is trying to become a clone of fucking Alex Hormozy or whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fun to be inspired by other people and be like, ooh, if I'm a little bit more like that, I might have those kind of outcomes. But I think I don't think people understand it's like, if you're not like that, what kind of outcomes can you actually get? Because it's like the people who come out of nowhere are the people who crush. Like, everyone's like infatuated with Sam Sulek is one. And then product wise, like the
Prime,
the other one, with the skull water.
Zoho Rock.
No, the fucking like Murder Your Thirst.
I don't know. It's a very American thing.
Come on. What is it?
Yeah.
Liquid Death. Really?
Yeah.
Dude, it's a billion dollar water company. And it's a can of water, and he put a skull on it, and it says Murder Your Thirst. And the whole branding is about just like skulls on water, and like drinking water is cool, and their marketing is insane. And it's just because they literally just changed the feeling around drinking that water. So like, I love that. Sam Sulek also super raw, mind-blowing what he gets on views. Like, doesn't do thumbnails, doesn't really edit his shit. It's like 90 minutes long, gets multiple millions of views. I think he's making $200,000-300,000 a month right now on just ad revenue. Wild.
But I also think that's someone daring to be different and do the opposite of everyone else, which I think is what it is a lot of the time in terms of content to some degree, which is why I think, like I said, like posts and like images and carousel in posts are going to start to come back in a lot more, which are a lot more like authentic, because it's easier to storytell on that.
Yeah.
Because I think overproduction of social media is getting downgraded, and also people aren't buying into it as much. It's almost like buyer awareness. Like, people know they're getting sold to from certain things as well. Like, people would switch off on TV ads because they know they're getting fucking sold to. Now people know in social media they're getting sold to on fucking ads all the time. So it's like, what can you do that doesn't look like an ad that's pulling someone in, if that makes sense?
Yeah, dude. Speaking on that, like I spend $200,000 a month on ads, and I used to be really good at doing like walking down the street selfie ads, like with all the pain points. I would never script; it'd just be raw, and I would nail it. And I would sit in my house. I'd go to my kitchen and like just make these like really, really outrageous videos for different challenges I was doing, different training programs I was launching. And what I've noticed now is my best stuff is just organic posts that I'll boost, and they'll go to like a specific landing page of some sort. And then the landing page will do the selling, but the actual eyeballs come from like something organic. Like, even some of my tweets will be fucking amazing ads.
That was something you showed me earlier on, which I thought was very interesting. It's literally the simplicity of you literally going on Twitter and just screenshotting a tweet and then using that as a reel. It is very interesting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think we all, like, I would say 5 times a day, you probably think of something that you're like, ooh, like
100% all the time.
Yeah, like that's
I've got a note section on my phone where I just like brain dump stuff sometimes. I'm like, like, you just want to like discharge information from your brain and let it flow.
So, I mean, this is going to help a lot of people right now. If you're interested in how to make content, like, and you want to make it easier for yourself, Alex is one of my good friends. All of Alex's content is his tweets. So whatever he thinks of something, he tweets it immediately, even if it's 30 tweets a day. And then all of his best performing tweets, he turns into videos and just literally speaks the tweet out loud. And then sometimes we'll elaborate on it, or he'll literally just say the tweet. But he's like, all of my social media, like literally even his YouTube videos will come from his tweets. So like anything that smashes on a tweet becomes a YouTube video, becomes an Instagram reel, becomes everything. And he literally, to this day, he's like, that is where all of it starts. And if it doesn't get a lot of traction on Twitter, it won't get a lot of traction everywhere else. So if you don't use Twitter now, I highly recommend. And I do the same thing. If it hits hard on Twitter, I'll post it as a tweet on my Instagram. If it doesn't hit hard, then I won't post it. And you can also do the same thing with threads. So you usually have more followers on threads, so sometimes you get better feedback.
I think that's where I think Instagram's not the best platform for testing. It's more
Terrible.
like that's like the final. That's like the fucking
NFL final draft.
It's like the Super Bowl final, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like the other platforms are almost like TikTok and other shit. It's like the testing grounds, like to play around and test.
You can't really post multiple times on Instagram. You can post like 2, maybe 3, but they have to be spaced out, like every 4 hours or something like that. TikTok, you can just let it rip, post as many as you want. Literally, I'll post 10 at a time. Different thumbnails, different opening lines, like different hooks, this, that. And then like the one that blasts, then I'll post it on something else. And then Instagram or Twitter is the same. You can post a ton of tweets and it doesn't really water down the other ones. But Instagram's the one where it's like, if you post too many, it ruins your reach.
With your business and how you've obviously done so well on social media, how have you learned and built yourself to the level you are in terms of your audience, the type of content you make? Have you had people you've hired to help you do that, or is it working with friends like Alex?
No, it's all organic. So, I mean, I think one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was my ideal client. This is going to be great for your fitness audience. Like if you're in the fitness industry, get ready to really listen to this one. I loved athletes. I wanted all the athletes to join my program. I think I got a lot of athletes, but I started to realize that it was regular people who wanted to get in shape who were majority joining the program. I also found out that the easiest people to sell to were people who weren't really in shape and wanted to get in shape. I think one of the biggest things that we need to understand as trainers is we are not looking for other people like us, because other people like us either, one, don't want to pay you, or even if they did want to buy your program, they don't want to pay the price point that you're asking for, especially if it's high ticket. If it's low ticket, maybe they'll follow your program. But even the people who already know what they're doing, that you really like, they don't really want to buy your shit because they know what they're doing. So at the end of the day, you're really just helping the average person. And no matter how cool your program is, like Chalk Performance Training, it took me a really hard time. It took me a long time to be like, okay with just selling to people who are out of shape and they're not necessarily caring about performance. And once I started making that shift, it made my content better. I started getting more people. I started getting I started getting way better people, because like majority in the beginning was all CrossFit people. They're annoying as fuck. Like, this workout sucks. Like, we did this last week. Like this, blah, blah, blah. Like a person who's fat wants to get in better shape. They're just like going to do it and never say anything. They're like, this person's awesome. And they love you and they shout from the rooftops. Like let's say I have you as a client. What the fuck do you have to do to shout from the rooftops that Ryan's the best coach ever? Put 10 pounds of muscle on, which is going to take you what? 10 years? Literally, at this point, you're already so trained. You look so good. It's like, maybe you'll put 5 pounds on in the next 5 years. Literally. Chris Bumstead is looking to put on maybe 2 pounds of muscle in the next year on all of the steroids, right? Now, on the flip side, if you're doing weight loss and Susie loses 25 pounds in the next 12 weeks, she's going to shout from the rooftops and have this amazing transformation in a very short period of time. So when you think about having amazing clients who want to stick forever, be in your program for a year, want to shout from the rooftops that you're the best person, never want to talk back, like you want the best client ever, it's weight loss. And it's fat people who want to get in better shape.
And I'm really glad you went down this route, because one of the biggest problems I see with a lot of people who come to us, a lot of them potentially from a bodybuilding background, and they want to train other bodybuilders. Bodybuilders are generally broken, have no money.
Yep.
Also very difficult to deal with. There's also a lot of emotional fucking bullshit involved.
Yep.
It makes no logical sense. So do you want to have a business and make money, or do you want to try and play around with bodybuilding for fun? Because I think that's where you have to define your choice of what's the point of the business. I think personally, I've seen people who actually have more of an impact like you have of helping Susie drop 25 pounds actually get more fulfillment from the business long term, because that's really like life changing for them, rather than someone trying to get like third in the Mr. Newport bodybuilding show. No one gives a shit.
It's a better client. It's better for you. Dude, I actually started feeling better when people would lose 40, 50 pounds and be like, dude, like you changed my life. This crazy, like this just crazy testimonial versus some guys like, dude, I power cleaned 100 kilos and now I power cleaned 105. Like, this is dope. Thank you. Like, it's a different kind of thank you. It's a different kind of emotion. And yeah, man, that took me dude, if had I changed my business to weight loss in the very beginning, I would be fucking just slaughtering the internet right now.
What do you think is the biggest mistake you've made in building your business? Obviously, it's hugely successful where it's at. And I think that's quite unique also in the fact that it's a lower ticket product, and also for you're a male audience. Normally, the only time I see people who have a really successful low ticket business is women. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest mistake or like the biggest challenges you've had in scaling the business?
I would say one of the things that makes me stand out is the fact that my programs are actually updated every single week, and it's something that makes you feel connected to it. So it increases my lifetime value of the customer. So instead of just like follow this program, like this is 12 weeks, this is 12 weeks, after this, do this. Like that's what most people do. They sell like blocks of training. Yeah. Mine is literally an ongoing program that never ends. So
and you're writing these?
And I'm writing them, yeah. So like every like 4 weeks, the program will change quite a bit, and it'll change quite a bit, and it'll change quite a bit. So it keeps you on that track for a very long time. They're looking forward to the next training cycle. So that's one of the things that I do that works really well. And I've talked to a lot of other people who do low ticket products, and the people who do the best have the programs that are in real time. So like if I do the workout today, there's even a leaderboard inside the app where you can see my scores. And people are like, fuck yeah, like I'm doing the same workout as Ryan today. Like that makes a huge difference. A lot of girls that I know who have big low ticket options as well, is the same thing. They're having live workouts versus just workouts on an app. Like that's one thing that definitely makes a huge difference. The second thing I believe is having a unique selling mechanism. Like what is it about your training program that's different from everybody else's? And mine is called full body aesthetics. So it's a full body kind of approach towards bodybuilding. And I just kind of go after the volume principle of like how much volume do you need per body part per week to grow. It's typically around 15 to 20 sets per muscle group per week to have like optimal results. So I just like spread that out throughout the week. So instead of having like a leg day and an upper body day and so on and so forth, it's just like you're going to do full body each and every training session. You spread all the training volume out, and at the end of the day, you're still getting the same training volume, but you're only doing one exercise per body part per session. So it just feels different. People love it. They come from CrossFit or they come from like a bro split and they do it and they absolutely love it. And then instead of just saying it's a full body split, I say full body aesthetics. It's like a signature kind of unique selling mechanism that makes a big difference. People get connected to that. You see hashtag FBA everywhere. People are like driving by in cars like Ryan Fischer FBA. Like people get connected to that. So I like the live workout, and I also like making a unique selling mechanism.
I think not enough trainers think like that, and they're trying to sell the same bullshit that you could get on Google or like bodybody.com.
It's all the same bullshit.
But I think what people don't understand is like the secret sauce of how do you jazz this up to make it sound sexy. So like in our nutrition, we talk about our metabolic priming diet. It's carb cycling.
Yeah.
It's like just sounds fucking cool, right?
Yep.
And I think the secret of marketing is curiosity, because as soon as you get someone curious, like, fuck, that sounds dope. Like, I want to try that. And as soon as you can pull people through with that, that's basically the hook that gets them started, and the results will keep them going.
Yeah.
I think the biggest reason most people don't see success in terms of with their business or the fitness is they lack like the success confidence loop, because they don't start, they don't actually see any results, they don't get confidence. But when you start and you get confidence and you get success, it just like loops and you go faster and faster and faster.
Dude, perfect example, knees over toes guy.
Oh, 100%.
He's massive. I actually was in San Francisco this last weekend, hanging out with a buddy who's also has a very successful brand. I'm not going to say his name right now because of what I'm about to say, but he was hanging out with knees over toes guy, and he's like, dude, his business, like, it's just like, it's the same. It's basically physical therapy, like basically just physical therapy and just repackaged. And I was like, does he actually think that he created something that doesn't exist, or does he know that he created something that like already exists, and he's just kind of like running with like that particular unique selling mechanism? And he's like, no, he absolutely knows that it already exists, and he's just running in his own little path. And I was like, oh, now I think he's even cooler. Like, That means that he actually took something that he already knew existed, repackaged it in his own way, and ran with it. And I think that, as fitness entrepreneurs, as everyone listening right now who's a fitness entrepreneur, that's like the one thing you really have to understand is like, what is your unique selling mechanism? Like, what is it about you that's different than everybody else? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to create results that are different. You just need to create something that gets people to get excited about it. Like, we all know that diet is all the same. Keto, carb cycling, fucking carnivore. It's calorie deficit, right? But you just might like carnivore because you're like, dude, I'm fucking carnivore, and like you get hyped on that because you want to classify yourself as a carnivore person, and just like a person who does CrossFit wants to be like, I'm a CrossFitter. Like, there's something about that. There's something about why I like a Bronco over a Lambo, and like why, so on and so forth. It's just the things that make you unique. Like, you have to lean into your uniqueness, or you will literally just never see your full potential.
And I think if you look at the most successful people, or the most polarizing as well. So we spoke about Wes Watson earlier. It's like, the English analogy of Marmite, some people fucking love him, some people hate him. There's very few people who are probably in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more Donald Trump would be another example.
Yeah.
Like fanatical, like followers, or like literal, like hatred, like people want to assassinate him. And I think
it's usually a good sign.
Yeah. But like, if you have that, I think that shows that you're on the right path. And I think a lot of people are also too worried to get the flack. Like, if you post on social media, people are going to comment and give you shit. Like, people commented on some of my videos the other day saying I had small eyes, that I wasn't an entrepreneur, I was a coach, or I did whatever. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure you've had a lot of shit as well.
Here's where I think about this differently. So, have you ever seen some dumb shit online, and you wanted to, like, in your mind, you're like, what a dumb motherfucker. Yeah. And then what do? Next post.
So I have pity on the person doing it, because I'm like, you wasted your time to comment and write something.
Exactly.
And then I'll try and goad them on, though, because I'll try, like, actually, no, I would try and goad them on, but this fucking pisses me off. You go to reply to the comment, and it says, so-and-so can't be mentioned in the comments. You can't even fucking reply to them.
Yeah. So to me, I'm just like, there's a lot of things I've hated, but I've never actually took the time to comment. Because the kind of person where the amount of time they need to spend to comment on that person is already so outside of what you're even looking for in your little community that it just shouldn't even matter. Like, I think that's the one thing that we all need to think about is like, yes, you're going to get hate, but like, think about the last time that you actually wanted to take time out of your day to like make a hateful comment. It's like, those people don't fucking matter. They will never matter. And if they are someone with a big following who's putting some hate on your page, they're literally just trying to get your followers. So like, at the end of the day, like, I just don't give a fuck.
What do you think about the trend where certain other fitness influencers will almost hate on other people's posts making content, using their content?
I can't stand that, dude.
For me, that's like the ultimate lowest form of like trying to get traffic. And I just think people are a piece of shit trying to do it.
Yeah, I actually talked to Alex Layla about this, and I was like, what do you think about like doing some of the reaction videos and stuff like that? And they're like, it's so bad for branding. Like, it's so bad for your brand to throw rocks at other people. Like, unless you're like having an opinion that's usually for the most part in agreement to what they're saying, where you're like, dude, this is fucking great. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like not good for your brand to like ever put other people down, because like people are going to know you as the person who's putting other people down. And like, imagine creating a brand like that. Like Greg Doucette's kind of like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard an English guy called James Smith.
Oh yeah.
So like he did
he does a lot of it.
Yeah, bro. He did one on me, and
he did one on you.
Yeah, and it was basically I came up with like, I can't remember the exact reel, but basically a complicated way to explain people need to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat. I actually DM'd him afterwards, and he completely agreed with what I said. So I was like, what the fuck are you making a video about then?
Yeah.
Like,
he just goes for views for sure.
Oh, 100%. But for me, I know it works for him. I think that's not how I would want to represent myself, because it's like, I'm trying to pull down someone else to make myself look better, if that makes sense.
I just don't know anyone. I respect James. I respect a lot of people who do some of these reaction videos. James is really fucking smart. But like, I've never seen someone who does reaction videos where I was like, I want to buy their shit.
Oh, not a million years.
That's it. I mean, I understand I'm not the person buying. Maybe I want to buy their stuff because they put other people down and they must be
the authority.
They must be the authority. But I'm like, dude, if you're gonna put someone else down, like, I just don't know. Like, I literally just want to see you give value. I'm not on here. Like, most people don't want to go on social media because they're insecure about just being on social media in general. And now you're even more insecure because, like, dude, my girlfriend, literally ex-girlfriend, literally just she would be so excited to post something, but so scared at the same time. She literally just be like, I want to post this. I'm so excited, but like, I just don't want anyone to rip on me. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, you literally have to think before you post now, like, because someone might fucking green screen it and say you're an asshole.
But I also think there's a two-way street as well, the way platforms work, is that the creators get hammered, but they can't almost reply back, because if you reply back and like bite back a bit, they fucking disable your account, shut you down for hateful shit. But it's okay for the normal person to hate on the person who's like the content creator.
And you're also highlighting the person who originally like fucked you up, right? Have you seen this Goob guy who like,
No.
he just like puts other people's shit down? He put me on there, and he just like blasts other people's shit, and it's just like so bad. Like, and then he makes like influencer hate shirts and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just not like, I don't know how you can pivot out of that and make something like worth anything.
I think what people should take from this is the most important thing you have long term is a compound effect for your brand.
Yeah.
The reason our mastermind, our business, 7-figure scaling systems has done so well so quickly is because the brand already had from being a fitness trainer. Loads of trainers knew who I was, so they knew I was credible, knew what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen from like slating everybody else, just came from being really good at what I did.
Dude, there's like really nobody in the game who's like a legit trainer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of you for what you're doing. Yeah. I'm pumped for you, honestly. But like, yeah, like from now on, if someone asks me like, do you know like a good fitness coach? I'll probably just like fucking throw them your way, because it's just like there's really no one I know who I was like, oh yeah, they had a dope fitness business and now they're doing fitness business coaching. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know anyone. I know people who like they're fitness business coaches and they claim they did a lot back in the day, but I'm like, I didn't see any of that.
Do you think there's too many people generally in the online education space, fitness as well, who trying to teach what they've never done?
100%. 100%.
What do you think people should watch out for to try and avoid that?
I think when you're interested in somebody, you start watching their stories, because that's where you find like their real personality.
Who they are.
Yeah. I think like the posts can be scripted.
100%, yeah.
You know, the posts can be, you know, edited to such a way where it makes you look like, you know, some kind of crazy person or whatever. A lot of people like rent cars, stuff like that, and it's like you start seeing them in their story, like, yeah, but you're driving something else like all the time on the reg. Like there's like one thing you can see there. See how they actually, you know, present themselves and speak on the daily. Like, see how they're eating. A lot of people do these like, this is what I eat in a day, and all of a sudden, like, you know, you watch their stories and they're always out at like McDonald's or this or that, and they're doing all this dumb shit, right? I think stories is where you find the real person, in my opinion.
What would you say to fitness trainers who are out of shape?
That's tough, man. I feel like the number one reason that we all work out is to make ourselves feel better. And I feel like if you're out of shape, you are bringing the kind of energy into the world that you don't even really want. So like, what kind of energy are you bringing out for other people? Like it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where I was like, you want to make sure you're bringing the best version of yourself all the time so you can create opportunity for yourself. It's really hard for you to create opportunity for yourself as a trainer if you're not looking the part. I hate to say looking the part, because that's kind of a common thing that people say. And I'm cool if you were like 400 pounds and now you're like 300 pounds and you're a trainer.
Well, it's relevant to where you came from.
It's relevant, 100%. But like, if you're like a straight up out of shape trainer and you're always talking about being in shape, it's like, dude, you just can't talk about it. Talk about something else. Like, just don't. I mean, it's not bad. It's why in 6 months to a year, you're going to be like, why doesn't my page pop off? Like, why am I not making more money? It's like, dude, work on you first. Like, Wes Watson might be a super polarizing dude, and he might be an asshole. He might be this, he might be that. But he says this one line that I think is so fucking, it's so true. But he's like, you can never like exceed your own level of personal development. Like whatever your personal level of development is, like that will be the max of your actual income ceiling. So like if you work on yourself to the point where you feel like you are invincible, then you will be able to become invincible in terms of income and like your career and all that. But you have to work on yourself first.
Well, I think everything on that side of things is mental, and I see that more and more. The more experience I have in entrepreneurship, business, and working with a lot of people who want to build their businesses, you can see very common traits in who's successful and who's not. And I give a shout out to one of our clients, Dave Kennedy, who's like 26 from rural Ireland, who did a training on a mastermind today. He's now doing 100,000 euros a month. Lives on a farm in Ireland. He helps train Irish farmers and sells online coaching to them, making 100,000 euros a month. But dude's mindset's like fucking another level, like all in. And you can feel the energy the guy has. And I think that's where people try and skip the process in terms of they want to be successful and they want to make money, but they don't want to become the person who can be successful and make money. Like you have to become the champion before you become the champion, if that makes sense.
100%. I think you can change your mindset very easily by just like hanging out with the people who you need to be around to be able to break the mindset. Then you also need to be able to compare yourself to the people who are immediately around you. And you need to understand that like just showing up is already like more than most people. Like I love the statistic about podcasts.
Oh, bro, it's fucking wild.
It's like people who put out 50 podcasts are in the 99.99
No, it's not
percentile.
even that. I think it's 21.
Yeah, like I think it's like after 2 podcasts, most people give up. But I want to say, like, if you put out 50 or 21, whatever it is, you're in the 99.99 percentile.
I think my fitness podcast had maybe 400 episodes. I think we've done 3 this week for this.
Mm-hmm.
And this example, like, and I also had my 7,000th post on Instagram like 3 days ago. And people look at me like an overnight success, like, dude, this is taking a long time.
Yeah.
And like, it's taking you a long time. And it's like Groundhog Day every day. But I know you have the same mindset as me. It's like, for me, this isn't work, it's play. It's a fun process of like, how can I put all this shit together and make it the best thing possible, but also make myself the best thing possible through the process, because entrepreneurship is the greatest experiment in terms of like self-development, in my opinion.
The most important part of this whole podcast right now is literally the simple fact that so many people feel like wherever they're at right now is not good enough. But you need to understand that wherever you're at right now is going to make whenever you're at where you want to be so much better. So like you and I right now, we're in our 30s. And we're like, fuck, man, there's like this 22-year-old kid. He's doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but like all the shit that took you all this time to get like the 7,000 posts and all these different things, like when you look back, I still think you're always going to be jealous of your past. Like, I think your past is always the best part. Like sleeping on the couch and then like me going to this competition and then like going to fucking all the local parks around town where people were going to my gym and they could potentially see me doing community service. Like, dude, in the middle of the summer, I'd wear sweatpants and a sweatshirt, hoodie up, fucking sweating my balls off because I didn't want anyone to recognize me. Like, that's the kind of shit that I look back at and I smile and I laugh and I'm like, dude, like, remember that? And like I've never like told a friend, I'm like, dude, you remember when I had that $4 million house and fucking $300,000 Bronco and like bought a Rolex? Like, no one says that. It's always the bad shit. And I think there's a lot of people watching right now and they want to get to the next level, but they feel bad about where they're at right now. And it's hard to say, like, this is the best time of your life because you're like, dude, fuck that. But like, it will be. And I just think that wherever you're starting right now, you need to understand that, like, it's a good place to be.
It's funny you said that because of the exact thing I said to Dave, who I mentioned earlier, because him and his brother are working fucking relentlessly. And I said to him, I was like, you look back on this in 12 to 18 months and laugh. And that was really fond memories. And I had that from when I lived in the UK and used to work in my shitty little shed in my garden. At like 5 a.m. I'd be in there with a fucking woolly hat on because it was cold. Like fucking building websites and shit. And I look back on that and it's funny now, it's a cool story. And I think you're never going to die regretting having loads of cool stories of what you did or what you tried to do.
Yeah. I actually feel bad for anyone who's been born rich or made their money when they're like 16, 17, 18 years old. Like, you don't really have a lot of time to go up. Like, I mean, unless you get to like 100 million and you want to get to 1 billion, but like those are feelings that like are kind of the same. I've seen people who make, 9 figures and 10 figures and all these different things. And like all these huge numbers just kind of all
blend,
mean the same thing. It's the big numbers are like $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, 10 million a year. And then like anything after that, it's kind of just like you're building a huge team, you're building presence online, you're doing something that's way, way bigger than yourself, but you don't personally need more money than that.
What's the 5-year goal for Ryan?
I'd like to just build my brand to the point where it's just like it's recognizable to pretty much everyone. Or honestly, I feel like over the last like year or two, I've been a little bit stagnant in my business where like I want to grow a lot more, but I haven't grown as much as I'd like. And I want to find a little bit more of that spark. I think I found it, like kind of rebranding my stuff right now. And I just want to help a lot more people. Like, I just feel like changing other people's lives is kind of the best part. Even in like, if I became a fitness business coach one day or something like that, I'd be really excited for like other people on my team to make a lot of money too.
What would be your final piece of advice for anyone listening to this who's got a business that's not in the position they want to be in?
Bring the best version of yourself everywhere you go at all times, because that is the preparation that you need to be able to meet an opportunity down the road. And if you bring a shitty version of yourself around, no one's ever going to give you a hand. Everybody needs help. We all need help, right? But like, no one's ever helped you who thought you were an okay dude. Everyone's like, that dude's fucking dope. Like, the first person I'm going to think of is Charlie Johnson. That motherfucker's cool. Like, could be $1 million a year job. Could be $10 million a year job. You don't even know what it could be. Like, I've had people in my gym, literally, like they were working at the front desk and now they like work for some guy, like doing some crazy shit, making $100,000, $200,000 a year just because they said hi, versus looking at their fucking phone.
You never know who you say hi to.
You never know.
Cool, dude. Appreciate it. Where's the best place people find out more about you?
Instagram, Ryan Fish, RyanFisch. Unless I change my name one day. I've thought about it a lot since meeting my dad. My real last name is Vigiano.
Okay.
But right now it's Ryan Fish, or you can just go to chalkperformancetraining.com.
Awesome. Make sure you check them out, guys. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, make sure you smash the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you next episode very, very soon.